Hello friends, I'm Kayla and I'm here to tell you the next couple picks for the Literally Dead Book Club. If you're brand new for some reason, there's a lot to catch you up on. We have been doing this book club for 3 years. You can't even see, this is everything we read the first year, the second year, the third year, and now we are like halfway through the 4th year. We do 10 reads a year from February to November. All the books fall into the mystery, thriller, or horror genres, and every month we do a live show and a co-host or 2 or 3 or 4 comes on with me and we talk about the book. Here's everything that we have read so far. We're currently in the middle, well, you might be in the middle. We're in the middle of the month. For the read of The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I haven't announced the date of the live show yet, but it'll be like the last week of July or the first weekend of August. I feel like the book club has gone well so far this year. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if anybody has read all of the selection so far. That would be pretty cool. But I have given everything from a 3 to a 5, which is good considering like this isn't the type of book club where I read the book first and it's a book that I just love and want to make everybody else read. Like I'm reading it along with you. I'm going into it cold. And in I think every single other year I have given out like 2-star, a 2-star, and a 2-star at one point or another throughout the year. So though I've only had 1 5-star so far, and every other year I've had multiple, like some of my all-time favorite books are here. I think we could say it's been a successful year for the book club thus far. And we'll see if it continues. So I'm here to tell you about August, September, and October. And then November, we always choose it together. Like there's a poll that goes up on the Instagram. So what I'm gonna do after announcing these 3 that I have right here is I'm also gonna tell you the synopsis briefly of 8 books that are gonna be pit against each other on Instagram, and one of them is going to end up being our November pick. So I've already casually announced the August selection because I wanted people to know ahead of time. If you watch all of my content, you follow me everywhere, then you already know that it's A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing for the month of August. And what's fun about this is we read a Samantha Downing in the 2nd year of the book club, and Gabby and Lexi were in the live show with me, and they're going to join me again for the next Samantha Downing along with our friend Deja. So we will all be reading and chatting about this, and I hope you join us. This is a domestic thriller. It says it's a reckless, delicious thriller that gives a whole new meaning to the dangers of modern dating. Basically what I know about this is we have a married couple, Wes and Ivy, and the police comes knocking on their door, and one of them has killed somebody, and they're like the only other person who knows about it. We don't know who did it. We don't know what the circumstances were. We don't know anything. But we do know that Wes and Ivy consider this detective the common enemy, but I think they're gonna come to figure out if they can even trust each other by the end. And actually today, I just realized is the release date of this. So go pick it up at your local indie, reserve it from the library. I hope you can get it in time. And then for the month of September, we are gonna read something a little bit weird. I feel like of the stack that we have read this year, we haven't gotten too odd. And every single year we do have like that weird one. You know, the first year of the book club was Catherine House, which was very questionable for a lot of people. The 2nd year of the book club, I would say it was either All's Well, but probably The Death of Jane Lawrence. I'm just thinking about books that don't perfectly fit into horror. Like they have horror elements, but they also go literary or fantasy. And then last year, what was the weird one, do you think? Do you think it was House of Hunger? Or do you think it was What Moves the Dead? So this year, as I itch for a little odd of a pick, I'm going to be joined by my friends Naomi and Steph, and we're going to read Monstrilio. This is by Gerardo Samano Cordova. He is a Mexican author, and this is a story about grief and motherhood. We have a woman whose son dies, and she takes a piece of his lung to save for herself, nurtures that piece of him until it turns sentient. And the carnivorous little Monstrilio she keeps hidden within the walls of her decaying childhood home eventually begins to resemble Santiago. So they try to teach it how to be a human and how to be their son, but it has monstrous tendencies. The blurbs refer to it as things like thrilling and horrifying and genuinely scary, but also that it's tender and heartbreaking and slow and lyrical, and I'm just excited to get into this one. Then we have October. So before we get into the November bracket and descriptions and the things we're gonna vote on, because I do this every year, I thought, why don't I go to the bracket that we did last year and see if I've read everything from there, see what got left behind, the books that have eluded me, the books that we were interested in but didn't get picked, and choose one of those. Because I definitely, as I showed you earlier earlier this year, I want to make sure that I have a mix of like new releases, backlist titles, and my goal for October was to pick a backlist thriller. So I went to that bracket, and what's interesting is I pit 4 horror books against 4 thriller books, and a horror book took it, and I have read all of the horror, or most of the horror that were our options, but I haven't touched any of the mystery or thriller books on the bracket. So I was debating which one to pick, and then earlier this year I read a Catherine Stedman, and I enjoyed it more than I was expecting, and it was a little more off the wall and wild than I was expecting. So I thought, why don't we read The Family Game together? This came out last year. The paperback, I think, is about to come out. I'm sure a lot of you, like me, got a Book of the Month edition, and maybe you haven't picked it up yet. Maybe it's sitting there staring at you from your bookshelves and judging you for not reading it, and this is our moment. What I feel like for 2023, when I look at the stack and when I look at the, things we're about to read, a lot of it is just wild and wacky, and I really like that for the vibe. And so I want to continue the year with that. I just want to read things that are fun and a little off the wall and have wild endings, and that's what I've heard about this. I don't think I've read like a UK mystery yet this year. And the thing with The Family Game is I know so many people have already read it, but that is what is helping make this decision, is because this has such a high average rating compared to so many of the thrillers on my Goodreads. I trust the people. I think this will be a good backlist option, and everybody who hasn't read it yet, here is your moment to read it with me. One of my only friends, I think, who hasn't read this, who has it on their TBR, is Molly. So we might have some other co-hosts. Like, this live show is going to be planned so far from now that I'm going to see if any of my other friends, pop into the comments and let me know they would also like to participate in the live show. Everybody is welcome. But right now I have Molly on board, so I'm very excited to discuss this together. And this is about a family. A woman is staying at her fiance's family manor. The house is luxurious and rich, but also very isolating. And Harriet, our main character, ends up listening to a voice note of somebody confessing to a crime. And then the game kicks off. I've heard it's got Ready or Not vibes. So she's solving a mystery, but also has to survive what's going on in the house. So that's what we're going to be reading for the next 3 months. I'm very excited to do that. And then in November, here it is. Here's our bracket. For the thrillers, have picked very well-established authors. You can tell me definitely down below in the comments what you're interested in, which one you think you're gonna vote for. But the actual poll will be taking place on Instagram in August, I want to say. So I put up Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica, which is like a classic missing person story. There is a wife whose husband is missing, and I've heard there's no mess, no wildness. So if you're tired of that, this is like a classic story, a classic mystery, and maybe that's what we're gonna need. Then I Did It For You by Amy Engel, which is about a woman whose sister was murdered years ago, and now she's back in town and there's a copycat killer after the convicted killer has already been executed. So she's gonna solve that mystery. Then we have Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead, which is about a preacher's daughter and a boy from the wrong side of the tracks. They're now adults, and there are deaths in this small town that have been attributed by the people to an obviously made up vampiric figure. And now these two are going to get together to solve the mystery. Then I have You Never Know by Connie Briscoe, which is about a deaf woman who is attacked in the night, and she's unable to give an accurate description to the police because she couldn't see or hear her intruder. But also she has a missing husband who she just found out some sketchy things about his past. And so are these two things connected, her husband and this intruder? It's up to her to find out. So those are the 4 mystery thriller books, and then at the bottom we have the 4 horror authors. All of these, by the way, are authors that we have never had in the book club before, so that's why I'm excited to see what you guys pick. I have The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve-Dew, which is a historical horror. It's about a school, or it takes place, the Reformatory is a school of boys where our main character is 12 years old. His name is Robbie, and he's sent there. And all we know about him is he can see ghosts. So whatever's gonna go down there is gonna go down. Then I have Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. And this is about a snowy wilderness expedition. It's thriller horror. It's set in the Rocky Mountains, and there are 8 people hiking who are trapped in a hunting cabin who get stuck, and then one of them is killed off. So the question is, are they trapped there with a killer? Then I have one called Ordinary Violence by Adriana Chartrand. Yes, that is a rabbit on the cover. And this one is about a young Indigenous woman whose brother recently was released from prison. And now they are both getting involved with this leader of a supernatural network. And the spirit realm is a big focus and maybe is trying to claim them. Then we have September House by Carissa Orlando. And this is an author who is a psychologist. This is her debut. It's about a woman who's determined to stay in her dream house even after it becomes a haunted nightmare. So every September, the walls drip with blood and the ghosts of old inhabitants appear. It has a married couple who live there, and the husband is sick of all of this and he leaves. And then their daughter, who I'm assuming is an adult, comes to stay and help like look for him. But September is here again, and scary things are starting to happen in the house to these two women. So those are 8 2023 like brand new releases. Either they just came out or they're coming out soon that I want to read, and we'll see what you want to read. I'm down for any of them, so whatever you pick, I'm so excited to plan the live show and talk about with everyone. And this is everything that we will be reading or have read up until that point. I think it's a pretty fun mix of things, and most of them lean fun and wild, which has been a cool experience. So I'm already planning for 2024. I have so many thoughts and ideas, and there's just too many books and not enough time. But yeah, thank you so much for reading any of these with me if you have, and voting in the upcoming poll. And I'll be sure to announce it as soon as the poll ends on Instagram, and I'll do it in like a clip in some video. I probably won't do an announcement video like this, but there will be moments where I talk about it to make sure you know before it's happening. We always have the conversations happening in the Goodreads group. So I take the book, like for example, Monstrilio is told in 4 parts. So I will probably take all 4 parts. I'll go to like page 100 and I'll have a conversation that says from page 1 to 100, page 101 to 200, page, you know what I mean? And so you can talk about the book with full spoilers as you're reading and discuss all of your theories and read through everybody else's thoughts as you're actively reading it. We do that for every book, so feel free to join. That is open. Also, merch is still live if you're interested in picking anything up with the Literally Dead Book Club logo on it. That will be linked down below, and I will see you soon. Bye!